Hi everyone. Today we will look into designing with landmarks. Landmarks are also known as page regions, which enables a screen reader user to identify and navigate directly to important sections of a web page, skipping over blocks of content. So once you introduce landmarks, ensure all content on the page is included in a landmark, as content outside a landmark can easily be missed. So basically, we will be looking into the HTML5 version using native HTML5 sectioning elements, such as the header, footer, main, nav, aside, section, and other elements. And then there is another version, which is the ARIA version, which uses div elements with ARIA landmark roles, such as role is equal to banner or role is equal to content info. For main, we use role is equal to main, and for navigation, we use role is equal to navigation, and so on. So both versions will try to make sure that both versions look the same visually, but differ in how they define the structure for assistive technologies. So let's get started. I will create a sample structure here for first the HTML5 version, and then we'll look into the ARIA version using the role attributes. So I'll use the Emmet abbreviation to create the structure first. Let's give this as a title as HTML5 sectioning elements, and okay, let me do this now. So in here I just want to write some comment. So the one which we will be using in this, it will be header, footer, main, nav, what else, aside, section, all right. So first the header. So I wanted to give the header first. Inside the header, let me give an h1 for our banner. And then navigation, which we will be using a nav here. Companies, for example. Insights, let's say about. All right, so we have our nav. Then I would want to give, we are still in the header, so div, let me give 2. So we're using a button here, which is the native element for HTML5. Login. So now our header is done. Let me see how does it show here. so far this is what we see. Next is the main. In the main, I'll create a section header 2, a paragraph P, for example, empower your team, staying connected to staying connected to a flexible based extended workforce. I'm just writing some content here. All right, so we're done with this. Now I would want to create two buttons below that paragraph. So I'll give a div again, a button, and for companies, button for talent. And after this, let me give another section, and I want to give 3 images here. So I already have images and created an image folder, and I have images in here, so I will be using those images. Let's say images, image 1, image 2, image 3, four. Okay, that's 4 enough. 4 is enough. Okay, so now we are still in the main, so we'll come out of the main, we'll create a footer. Remember, we are still using all the HTML5 elements here. So give a paragraph. Let's create a copy. For example, okay. So this is how it will look in here. These images, copyright. We got the 2 buttons. Now everything is, the structure is created. Now we need to make this look appealing by using the CSS. So we will try to use CSS now to customize this page. Let's get started. So I have here an empty CSS file created. So what I will do is I'll start with the top section. So before I do that, okay, so the body, first we will take the body here and do the margin and padding for the body. So margin 0, padding 0. I want to give a background color, for example. Let's give this and the text color, let's say, all right, and the font family, let's say, all right, so let's see how it looks. So body has padding 0, margin 0. Now we don't see these changes here because I have to connect the CSS to my file here. So link href, so HTML5 CSS. I'm picking up this one. Okay, now see, we see this now. All right, so this is our basic body, and it is applied to the entire body here. Now the next thing we will look into is the header and all the other HTML5 elements. We'll apply a padding to that. So the header, footer, main, nav we have used. We use the section and we use a div. So padding for this one is, let's give me 20 pixel. Then I want to align the text to center. All right, so it has given us the padding of 20 pixel, and then the text is aligned in the center of the page. The next, so we'll take the header, customize the header, and we will make this header display flex. Now the margin 0, padding 0, these are the CSS properties used to for spacing adjustments. Margin 0 means remove any default margin, the space outside of an element, and padding 0 in the body that we are providing removes any default padding, the space inside an element between the content and the border. So these are basically used in the body or other element to reset the default browser spacing, and this ensures consistent layout. In the header, now I'm using display flex. So the reason for the display flex is display flex. So now display flex, this enables the flex box layout, which is a modern CSS layout model used for arranging elements efficiently. So when this is applied to a container, it makes a child element flexible, like what you've seen right now here. And it provides powerful alignment and spacing option. So that's why display flex is used. The next one is what we will do is justify. So whenever you use display flex, you use the justify content with that. Justify content will be space between, so it evenly space the content, and then align items, center, background, let's say background, I want to give the background of the header as black, for example, and the color of the text, let me use an RGB here. RGB value of 222.104 and 232. Let's see. All right. So this is how our background of the header looks, with a black background with the RGB colors for the other elements. Moving on, next what do we have? In the header we have a nav, so we'll move on to the next one in the header, which is the nav. So the nav would be margin of, let's say, 0.15 pixel, and then text decoration, none, and color text would be, let me give it the RGB again, the 2.8 and 2.45, let's say. So if I do that, so I get this color for my nav A elements. And then moving on, we have our nav covered, and then we will move on to the main section here. So the main, again, main is, what do we have in main? We'll use the main section for these elements, and it has an image as well. So display flex, and now we will use the flex direction in this case because we want to show these in the column wise. So flex direction will be column, and align items center. Let me give a padding as well of 50 pixels. Okay, so it did align our items in the center, and it gives a little bit of padding as well. So okay, next is, so the main is covered. In the main we have button, and then we have the image section. So let's work on the button first. Button is padding 10 pixel and 20 pixel. Next is margin is, let's say, 10 pixel here. Border none, and background color, let's RGB 32, 13, 240. Text color white, and cursor pointer font weight, let me give it as a bold. Alright, so this is what we see for our buttons now. Two buttons with this color background, and the text within that button is white. So now I want to go back here in my section, because this section, I want to customize this section, because this section has these text, and if you want to customize these texts, I need to provide a class for this section, and if I need to customize these buttons, I need to provide a class for this button. So I can leave it like this, or I can, if I want to customize. So for this section, what I want to do is provide a class of because it's a hero section. Let me give that. And then there is for the buttons, let me give a class because I want to customize those buttons too. Class is buttons. So first, class hero for the section. So whenever you are working on the class in CSS, you provide a dot. So font size, let's say 2 em, and font weight bold. Let's see what it does. Okay, so this is our hero section element, and it has changed the font size and weight as well. Next is the buttons, the class buttons that we have given here, and this will apply to these two buttons. I just wanted to customize these buttons. For example, let's say I want to change the background of it or provide a margin to the text. So buttons, margin top is 20 pixel, for example. All right, so this has given a margin of 20 pixel to the button. Moving down, then if I go to this buttons inside, so padding to 10 pixel, 20 pixel, margin 10 pixel, and border none. I want to change the color of the background of these buttons just to differentiate. So black. Color of the text, let's leave that as white. And cursor pointer, font weight bold. All right, so now moving on, well, button section here. What we have next is the image section within the images within the section. So we'll take that as, if I need to define a class in here for the image section, come back here, work on the image section class. Sorry, there's a typo here. You see this now. Companies talent. So this buttons is applied to these two buttons, and image section. We are going to these images now, customizing them. Image section, which will be display flex, and what we will do now for these ones, let's display flags and justify content center and we use a gap here. Just the gap is used to provide a gap in between those images, and we are using 20 pixels as a gap here, and then margin top. Margin top is, let's say, 30 pixel. So that is the image section. I wanted to now work on the images itself, because if you look at it, these images are like this. Customize the images. So image section, img, width of the image is, say, 250 pixel, and height 150 pixel. Alright, so that should show up like this. So the images are properly aligned, and now comes the footer section, because that's the last one we have, I believe. So the images are covered, the section is covered. Now comes the footer part. Footer, I'll give a padding of 20 pixel to the footer. Position relative, width 100%, and with 100%. Button, from the button we give 0. Color white, and background, let's see, for example, background is, I want to give a black background. So that should show us like this. Alright, so we are done with our page. Now if you look at it, so we've used all the HTML5 elements in here: header, footer, main, nav, section, and we have created this page to make the page accessible for people with disabilities or the screen reader user. It will identify these HTML5 elements on the page, and it will help, for example, the banner top region of every page that contains info such as logo, search, and nav options. The content info, the bottom region of the page, every page contains info such as copyright, privacy, or disclaimers. And so this will definitely help for the screen reader user to navigate to the pages pretty easily. So now in our next section or session, we will try to create exactly the same page, but we will be using the div, and we will be using div, and then we'll use the ARIA landmark role. For example, in the header will be a role is equal to banner if you're using a div. For the footer, we'll be using a role is equal to content info. For main, role is main, and for navigation, that will be role is equal to navigation. And then if there is a section, we'll use role is equal to region.